Rain pelted the cracked sidewalks as Ethan pulled his worn jacket tighter around his shoulders. His shoes, once black, now a muddy gray, squished with every step. The November wind cut through him like shards of glass, but it wasn't the cold that weighed the heaviest. It was the emptiness in his wallet. In his pocket, wrapped in wax paper, sat the only food he had for the day, half a peanut butter sandwich he'd saved from his own lunch at the auto shop. It wasn't much, but Ethan had learned to make not much last. He was on his way to pick up his son, Liam, from the community center when he heard it, soft, muffled sobs coming from behind the old bus stop shelter. Two little kids, maybe 6 or 7, sat huddled together, their clothes soaked, their faces blotchy from crying. Ethan froze for a moment. Strangers' troubles had a way of tugging at his heart, but these kids, something about them was different. He crouched down. "Hey, you two okay? Where's your mom or dad?" The older one shook her head, tears streaking through the grime on her cheeks. We don't know. We were waiting for Mom, but she didn't come. We're hungry." Ethan swallowed hard. Hungry. The word hit him like a punch to the chest. He'd heard it from his own son's lips too many times. He looked down at the sandwich in his hand. His stomach knotted. This was supposed to be his dinner, the only thing he had until payday. But then Liam's face flashed in his mind. If his boy were out here, cold and hungry, what would he want someone to do? He unwrapped the sandwich, tore it in half, then split one of those halves again. "It's not much, but it's yours." The kid's eyes widened as if he'd handed them gold. They ate slowly, savoring every bite. Ethan sat with them in silence, the rain tapping a slow rhythm on the metal bus shelter roof. A few minutes later, little footsteps came pounding down the sidewalk, Liam's. "Dad! I saw you from the corner." He slid next to Ethan, wrapping his small arms around him. The smaller of the two strangers leaned toward Ethan, their voice barely above a whisper. "You're my hero." Ethan felt his throat tighten. It wasn't the words alone, it was the raw, unfiltered sincerity behind them. In that moment, he realized something: you don't need money, or power, or even a plan to make a difference. Sometimes, all it takes is the courage to give, even when you have nothing left. Minutes later, a frantic young woman came running, tears streaming. She was their mother. She'd been searching everywhere after their bus broke down and they wandered off. She hugged Ethan like he was family. As they left, Liam tugged at his sleeve. "Dad, we can make more sandwiches tomorrow, right?" Ethan smiled, though his stomach still ached with hunger. "Yeah, buddy. We can always make more." That night, he went to bed with an empty belly but a heart so full it almost hurt. Because sometimes, the smallest act of kindness doesn't just feed someone's stomach, it feeds their hope. The next morning, the air smelled faintly of fresh rain, and Ethan woke up with the sound of Liam humming in the kitchen. He dragged himself out of bed, expecting the usual scene, his son trying to pour cereal into mismatched bowls. But today was different. On the table sat 2 sandwiches, wrapped neatly in foil. "I made these," Liam said proudly. "One for us, and one, in case we meet someone who's hungry." Ethan blinked, taken aback. His son had been watching, learning, not from words, but from the choices he made. They stepped outside, and the neighborhood seemed warmer somehow. Strangers nodded as they passed, and for the first time in weeks, Ethan noticed the small kindnesses happening all around him: someone holding a door open, a man giving up his bus seat for an elderly woman, a teenager helping a neighbor carry groceries. It struck him then, kindness had a way of echoing. It started small, like a single drop of rain, but before long, it could fill a river. Ethan didn't know what tomorrow would bring. He still had bills stacked on the counter, shifts at the garage that barely covered rent, and more nights ahead where dinner might be thin. But he walked beside Liam with a quiet confidence. By the end of the week, word had quietly spread about what Ethan had done. He didn't know how, maybe the mother had told someone, maybe one of the neighbors had seen, but people began stopping him on the street, offering a handshake, a smile, even a bag of groceries left on his porch without a note. One evening, as he closed up the garage, his boss called him into the office. Ethan's heart sank, bracing for bad news. Instead, his boss slid an envelope across the desk. Inside was a small bonus and a simple note, for the man who reminded us what being human is about. Walking home under the glow of the street lamps, Ethan felt the weight on his shoulders shift. Not gone, but lighter somehow. When he reached his building, Liam was waiting at the door, grinning from ear to ear. "Dad! The kids from the bus stop, remember them? They drew you something." Liam held up a crayon drawing. It was a stick figure with messy hair, holding a sandwich, standing between two smiling kids. Above it, in uneven letters, were the words, "Our hero." Ethan stared at it for a long moment, then hugged his son tight. That little piece of paper might never pay a bill, but it was worth more to him than any paycheck he'd ever earned. And as he turned off the lights that night, he realized something else. Sometimes, you don't set out to change the world. Sometimes, you just share what you have, and the world changes around you.